jump scare. It's my face. Oh, it feels weird to, I don't know how my visual quality is gonna be. It feels, weird to be Katira at this angle and not my phone angle and be like, "I'm so pretty at this phone angle." Okay, so it is now 2026, and I would like to talk about 2025. So, I am an editor, right? By day, I'm a legal editor, and I used to be a book editor. I worked in book publishing, and I am an author. Above everything else in the world, I am a writer. I am a writer. That is what I do. When I make video essays, I'm a writer. I write them out like an essay, like you would turn into your professor. Like I go full fucking Professor Katira, here, take my essay, right? And then I read it and I edit it in like add gameplay clips and graphics and stuff like that. I very rarely show my face, and when I am showing my face, it's usually as Professor Katira or because I'm following like a dumb TikTok trend that I just felt inspired to do in the moment. And I think that key term is what we need to talk about. Inspired in the moment. My 2025 was not when I got monetized. I got monetized in November of 2024. And it was because of the Astarian approvals only video. In 2025, though, I started writing essays, which is something I had said I wanted to do for a very long time after my challenge video, because that was what I wanted to do. And I put out my first serious essay video, which was my video on did Astarian make us a spawn or a vampire bride? And that was a culmination of everything that I care about. It was about Astarian. It was when I decided to come out as being a sub in a sub-dom relationship. It was when I decided to come out about being an ascended Astarian girly. It was when I really started talking about my books and that I am a dark romance author and that I believe in using fiction to, especially dark romance and dark fiction in general, to explore complex characters and situations and deal with trauma in a way that's reclamative, which means to reclaim. It's a weird word to say. Everyone says it differently. I like to call it cathartic reclamation. That's how I like to say it. It was about vampires, which is my first degree was in cultural anthropology, and I specifically wanted to study urban legends that were related to famous paranormal fiction. So all my essays were on vampires and werewolves and the fae and demigods and the Wendigo. The Wendigo is actually my favorite thing to write about because it's one of the few creepy things that scares the shit out of me. I know you're not supposed to say their name. You're supposed to say like Wendy Bagel, but I actually am atheist. I don't believe that. Who would have thunk it? I left a religious cult and now I'm an atheist. I feel like that's how it goes. But that to say, it was everything that's me. I got to talk about the things I love. I got to talk about a topic I love in a genre that I love. I stayed up literally all night. Like I got off work and finished writing the essay Friday night. And then Saturday, I woke up and I spent the whole day editing. After I voice recorded and then spent the whole day editing. And the next day at like 10 a.m., I finished the video. My husband's like, "Did you sleep?" And then I followed it up with the series on Can Vampires Love You? I talked about is Mistra a groomer or at least abuses her power when it comes to her relationships with her chosen. There was a point where I started to notice that when I talked about anything that didn't have to do with Astarian, the video wouldn't do well. And this is still true. And YouTube, I know technically because like terms and services, we're not allowed to talk about some of this stuff without being demonetized. So if I get demonetized, fuck you, YouTube. Fuck you very, very much. They go above and beyond to ensure that you feel like you are never doing enough. You must always do more, and that you must always see every metric, specifically the ones that are not doing well. It will pop up. It will be at the top of things. They will send you messages. They have a notification system they do every week that's like reviewing your week's analytics that they gamify. It encourages you to interact and tell them what you thought did well and didn't do well, and then encourages you to do more. And now they have built an AI that's built into everything in it, and it will generate suggestions for videos if you click on inspiration instead of actually showing you what people are interested in. That's in a totally different tab now. Things that are similar to what your audience has searched. It will show us if you have a public profile, it will not show us who. It'll show us the playlists that our videos are in. It will show us the search terms that people who are subscribed to us are searching, search terms for people who have just watched our videos to a certain percentage. It'll show us other videos and creators that you've watched this week that are somewhat related to our niche. Again, it doesn't show your names. I don't know who's doing what, but whoever added my vampire bride video to On Your Knees, Darling, I Got a Goon as your playlist name, we need to be friends. Come forward. We need to be friends. But the inspiration tab itself has now become AI and it generates images for you while it generates suggestions. And every once in a while, I'll click on the inspiration tab because I'm looking for the tab that shows me what you guys have searched for and what creators you're watching this week, because that's where it used to be before AI. And it will generate suggestions and it generates pictures. There are a lot of videos that will show up when I search things on YouTube or just on my homepage that are using those images and those titles. And I recognize them because they have a style. And I have feels about that. I mean, when I first started making content, I didn't really have super strong feels about AI one way or the other, and I played around with it. And I didn't editing K here for transparency because I'm about to talk about when I experimented with it. I used it to generate pictures of elves for two of the videos, and then I went in and did a bunch of photo editing to them and the background, and I'll show you some screenshots of what I did. So for the first one, you'll see the if I can find the original, and then what I did to it. So in this example, because I'm looking at it as I'm talking, I adjusted the background. The background is actually from Baldur's Gate 3. I created the effects that are happening all around the screen, and then I went in and removed the background and did all the lassoing work, and then I had to touch up and redo their hands because fucking insane. Uh, it's not good. It's not good. And then for the second one, it was the background. And then I went in and I color corrected the background. Then I created all the effects that are around it. And then I went in and I manually removed the background and then lassoed around what is Astarion and my tab kissing. But that one was done with like actual photo, or not photo, actual video. Like them kissing is an actual video. I went and removed the background on. They're not good. What it generated was not a good quality. But it's gotten better because I have bought things that I like on Shutterstock and then found out they were AI after I spent a ridiculous amount of money on them and can't replace them yet because I don't have more of the monies. But I wanted to be honest, like I tried it and then I learned how they got their art and I was like, oh. I came out of that with strong feels. Now, granted, I work for a law firm as a legal editor, and our law firm just recently sold a huge AI software that they developed that doesn't generate anything. Like it's not creatively generative. It reads documentation and you can do special searches where instead of having to have the exact term, you can give it a parameter or scenario and it will then be able to search the documentation for that, and it's just there to make the process of searching for things when you're processing claims faster. And I'm on the QA team, so a lot of things that we do involve doing query searches or involve setting up algorithms, all of which are a type of AI. They're just not generative AI. but they all foundationally work the same way as far as like coding is set up. So seeing how things are trained and seeing how people are using AI, there was an author, I cannot remember her name off the top of my head. So I will put her name here, maybe like as an editor, Katira.
Editing kit here. I'm going to say bars, but there were no bars in this specific passage. I'll flash a moment. I'm confusing it with a different author who did a very similar thing. Lena went on to say that it was because she uses AI in the editing process. I even as a professional editor, I give two shits if someone uses AI to edit. I don't care. Do what's affordable, babe. But uh, that's not editing. Asking it to rewrite in another author's style, not just rewrite it, not polish it, not expand it, in another author's style. That's not editing. That's stealing. You even put her fucking name in it, just to be clear.
I was so angry by this situation that I stopped reading her work immediately, and I don't remember her name because of it. But she left a prompt in her book. Like she used the free version in ChatGPT where it has like the prompt at the bottom. Or do they all have that? She left the prompt in the book and she asked it to rewrite a section in the style of another author. She didn't read her book before she published it. Like, it was very obviously a prompt. It had bars on either side of it, and it was responding to her and said, "I have rewritten this in the style of blank per your request." She left it in her book. That means she did not, because you would notice bars in the middle of a chapter if you even just skimmed through your own book. She didn't read it. Why should I read it if she didn't read? I get very like, everyone and whenever it happens, people tell me to just go off. They're like, "Yes, queen, go off." But I get very passionate about it. I'm not strictly for or against. I definitely think that there are ways people can use it unethically, and I definitely think that there are people who don't understand the difference between generative AI and AI in general because they don't work in tech, but everybody thinks that they know everything about everything. And what I really hate are the AI police because almost always they end up being someone who also does it. Like, there is this one woman on TikTok recently who made a post on Instagram and TikTok where she said that any author who ever Googled anything to get an answer is using AI to write their books because they got their answer from Gemini. And then she got caught using AI images from like, it was Crown. That's a free AI generator because she forgot to remove the watermark.
Editing kit here. I forgot an important part of that story was the free images that came from Crown that she was using were on products that were stickers and book covers for like journals that she was selling on Etsy and calling her own hand-drawn arts. But she left the watermark on them. Also, I keep saying Crown because like I have an accent that I fight against. I mean like crown, like that you color with, not that you put on your head.
Or I saw a video earlier today where someone was claiming that a specific artist used AI to make their music. Granted, probably did. Their voice sounds too familiar to too many other songs I've heard. And I'm one of those people that because I don't know anything about music, I can't parse out what is and isn't AI unless it's very like clearly has some kind of tag on it. So I don't know if they did or not. But what I do know is that the person who made the video used an AI voice because TikTok clocks that. So you used an AI voice and wore a mask that suspiciously looked like an AI generated video to be angry at someone else. So I don't like people like that. And a lot of 2025 has been that in every creative space. It's just been people violently going at each other and I'm I'm over it. I'm over us all going violently at each other, like, especially if you're doing the thing you're getting mad at people for, because at that point, you're not being an activist. You're being what I like to call a clactivist or a clout activist. You're doing it because you want the brownie points of being on the right side of a situation, even if you don't agree with the situation or you don't care about the actual outcome. They're like the people who show up in your comments when you make coffee at home, 100% at home, and they go, "We don't go to Starbucks." Well, I didn't go to Starbucks either, bitch. Do you have any media literacy? And that was my Katira angry rant for the day. I might do more of those as the year progresses because I want to be me and not commercial Professor Katira me. This will probably go at the end. This will probably go at the end of the video. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just existing. I'm vibing. Although, like, I feel like the word vibe has been ruined for me since the discovery of vibe code. Now, every time I hear the word vibe, I'm like, which, okay, as someone who's learning how to code, I don't like the whole vibe coding thing because my philosophy is if you didn't know how to do it, you won't know how to fix it if it goes wrong. And the way that coding works with AI, with anything works with AI, is it adds to the end instead of rewriting everything unless you specifically ask it to. Which means it's just going to add more and more, and then you're going to have more code on top of it, and it's going to be more complex. And some things, if like, for example, you're wanting to vibe code and you're doing it in a language that has to be more specific, like JSON can be very specific to the game because it runs on its own API. And each game essentially has its own API if it's using JSON. So like I'll use Stardew Valley, for example, it uses the Stardew Valley API, and then it also uses Content Patcher anytime you're creating a mod because it's injecting code because the game is in C#. And so when you're using it, it has its own specific language that is technically JavaScript, and they are JSON files, but the different numbers and symbols mean different things than they would in other games. So you have to learn multiple languages. And do you really want to trust a robot that has to have a little code that says this could be wrong to do that for you? Like as a writer, so I'm a writer. That's like my profession. I'm a writer and editor. I'm a legal editor now, but I used to be a book editor. And if somebody was like, yeah, I let it pick random names for me, or I had it help me do a couple of sentences, or help me with outlining, I'd be like, okay, but you still wrote the actual work, like you still wrote it. So if I give you an edit, you're going to know how to apply it. You're going to understand the fundamentals of writing a book. So I can be like, you need to fix this based on this previous scene so that it has this specific kind of flow. And I can pull different examples from things that you've done, and you will know how to do it. But if you didn't write it at all, if you just let the robot do everything for you and you were just like prompt, and just copy and pasted chapters, like that one author who left the fucking prompt in her book. Like, if you don't read your book, why should I? You didn't read it to make sure it wasn't there, why should I? I digress. But if you don't, like, if you don't know how to write a book, then how are you going to apply my edit? And that's like a waste of both of our times. So I would never willingly edit a book that someone wrote complete with AI. They wouldn't know what they were doing. Like, even just ethics aside, they wouldn't know what they were doing. I feel it goes the same way with code. You're not going to know how to fix it when it breaks because you don't actually know how to code. Okay. But to synopsize that section, if you're coming into this chapter because you skipped it, using AI to do all of your creative work, bad, unethical. Attacking people when you're doing the same thing as them because you want clout, bad, unethical. That was the TLDR. But like I said at the end of that, my 2026 is I want to be me. I feel like towards the end, I reached a point where I was trying to push out videos so fast that were what I was being told by my analytics and the algorithm, this is what will work, this is what people want, that I didn't sound like me anymore. Like to a point where someone asked me if someone else wrote my script. One person was like, you sound like a robot. Another person was like, did someone else write your script? And that comes down to my publishing degree is technically a technical writing and editing degree where we also learned about how to work and run a publishing company as editorial assistants. So technical writing is the writing that you have when you're in a professional space. It's what's going to be on your work documentation. It is what is going to be on websites. It's what's going to be in textbooks, et cetera, et cetera. That is the material that AI scans. So anytime someone writes in a way that sounds technical, it's going to sound too much like that. But as somebody who is an editor, what I can tell you is the most surefire way to know if something was written with AI and didn't have a human touch it at all is that it sounds perfect. And when I say perfect, I do not mean it sounds good. Good and perfect are not synonymous. It is textbook, technical, 100% perfectly formatted sentences. Like the reason why it uses em dashes so much, which is a actual punctuation. If you have a 10 key, it is Alt 015 or 0151 on a 10 key will produce it. And it has a purpose. And it is usually for the conjugation of two things that go together or the sharp end of a conjugation. So if you have like, yes, oh my, and then you stop instant, like in the middle of a sentence, that would be an em dash. That is the actual correct thing that you should use. And then there are em dashes where they separate things. Like if you were having a sentence where you went,
Editing kit here. I just realized I left out a crucial piece of information because I assumed you're all writers. When I say separates two things, in this case, I mean interjects a sentence or declarative statement into the middle of another sentence. And then I'm going to go on to show you an example of that.
and he ran his hand down my neck. Em dash, slow and deliberately, em dash, until I was arching into him. I personally prefer to use commas there because I think that they look better and they don't make people freak out because now everyone freaks out about proper punctuation. Somebody told me if you use an Oxford comma that a robot wrote it. No, that's just the correct punctuation, Susan. AI has made me realize that people don't know how to read, and that breaks my little heart. As a writer, that breaks my little heart. But I like the way that commas look better because they're actually more traditional. The em dash was more so used only at the end of something to be like the sentence cut off until more technical aspects became a part of writing. Primarily when writing started moving towards being in first person present tense, which is my favorite tense to write in, by the way. But when that became the norm, I'd say around like 2014, that was when the em dash started becoming popular in traditional publishing. And because AI scanned people's work without asking them. Now a lot of them like pay people to do it, but they didn't originally. And because it scanned actual work and it has actual information on how things are supposed to be written, it does it too perfectly. Like the sentence that I wrote is not what an AI would generate because that was not even a perfect sentence, even though I used perfect punctuation for how an em dash is used. They would be more like
Editing kit here. I didn't like the example I gave because I was having a really hard time giving it because uh, it's hard to think like a robot. So I'm going to make a really crazy decision and ask it to rewrite my sentence so that I can read you exactly what I'm talking about so you can see what I'm talking about. And yes, I don't want to do this, but scientific process. As a refresher, my sentence was he slid his hand down my neck, dash, slow and deliberate, dash, until I was arching into him. Perfect punctuation, not a perfect sentence. AI, when I asked it to rewrite it, I said, please rewrite this sentence in fictional romance style. It gave me three options. So here we go. Option one was, his hand traced a slow, deliberate path down my neck, and before I realized it, my body was already curving toward him. So see how it added additional sense to that to make it a more complete sentence because it did not provide enough context as a sentence by itself. So if you're asking AI to rewrite something for you or you're asking it to write something for you and it has no context, it will fill in that context because it is assuming that that is a standalone statement rather than a conglomeration of statements together. It has a hard time parsing out paragraphs. Okay, this second one actually doesn't sound that horrible, but it's, he slid his hand down my neck with unhurried intent, coaxing me closer until I was arching into his touch. And the reason that you can tell that this one is also too perfect is because he has unhurried intent, which is not a conjugation of adjective and verb that you would normally think when you're just writing out. Like if I were just writing it out myself, I'd be like, he slid his hand down my neck unhurriedly. Or unhurriedly, he slid his hand down my neck. See, like, there just doesn't feel natural to say it in a way that is too textbook perfect because it's not fictional enough. And then the third option was his touch lingered as it moved down my neck, measured and certain, drawing a quiet ache from me until my body betrayed me and arched toward him. And yes, it used an M dash after neck and an M dash before drawing because it is a injection into the sentence. That one wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. I feel like if I read that specific one in a book, I might not catch it. It wasn't too perfect, but it is technically a perfect sentence. So hopefully that expands on what I'm talking about from the perspective of someone who went to school for English and wanted to be an English teacher at one point and then went into editing and traditional publishing instead. And before you ask, yeah, we have to know this shit as editors because if we don't know how to clock it, if we don't know how to spot it, then we're going to fall for it and we're going to send you edits when you don't know how to apply them because you're not able to write by yourself and they're going to be worthless. And then we're going to be the publishing company that put out a bad AI book. So you got to know the enemy.
They're too perfect. And they also have limitations on how much can be front loaded because of the way code is written, which is why you'll see people who, when they publish a book that is written complete with AI, the chapters, because they usually can only do one chapter at a time and it has a character max, will be front loaded and then fade off. So the beginning of the chapter will be a bunch of very long paragraphs. It might have like a single sentence start, but it'll be mostly long paragraphs. And then as the chapter progresses, the sentences will get shorter and shorter and shorter. Well, not sentences. The paragraphs will get shorter and shorter. And when you get to the end, there'll be just single sentences. And a lot of this is stuff that I've learned working with other editors, like doing freelance stuff, as things that we're supposed to look out for. Because as an editor, and this is not my humble opinion, this is everyone's humble opinion that works in editing. If the robot wrote it, then you don't know how. You're asking it to do something because you don't know how to do it. So if you don't know how to write a book and I give you editorial feedback, you will not know how to apply it. And if you do not know how to apply it, then we wasted both of our times and the product will be bad and my name will be on it. So I won't edit something that someone wrote in AI. So I need to know how to know so I don't accidentally go, yeah, sure, I'll edit your book and then regret my life choices vehemently. But it will get to shorter and shorter. And it is normal to have single sentence paragraphs. The author who wrote Hatchet, which was one of my favorite books when I was growing up, does that. And that is something I've picked up where when I want something to have a really strong impact, I might do one or two sentences in a row where they're each paragraphs. And oftentimes it'll either be directly in the middle when the peak of action happens or it'll be at the end. But it won't be like, it'll be like three. AI will have like 10 in a row that will all be like one or two sentence long paragraphs, like super short, because it's running out of generative memory. It put all of its effort into the beginning because it's used to doing short things. And there have definitely been some books that I have decided to read because I have Kindle Unlimited that I had to stop reading because they just were really, really, really bad. Like, it couldn't do it. There's a reason why I say a robot can't replace me. Like, there are some professions that I feel like artists genuinely are afraid, like, in the music career and in, like, the art space are genuinely afraid of being replaced by AI. But as a writer, and at least in a non-technical space, I'm not afraid because it can't do it. It is a tool. It is not meant to replace you. It's like if you decided that you were going to use like one of those background remover tools on Canva, which technically is a type of AI, and then the like recolor tool or the magic, what is it? It's like magic. I never use it, so I don't know. It has magic in it, and all their AI tools say magic. But they have one tool that like you circle something and you type what you want and it like regenerates it. If you don't know how to like go in and edit what it generates for you and like do layers to it in like Photoshop, then it's not going to look good and everyone's going to know that you used AI. That's kind of what using AI to write a book would be like. It would look like somebody did a really bad Photoshop job and then charged you money for it. I like how I promised myself that I would do things I want to do this year and I was like I just need to talk. I just need to yap. And a video that was supposed to be about talking about my depression has turned into me being frustrated at AI and people misusing it. I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about, and I think technology is super fucking awesome. And I think that there are places where tools can be effective, but they can't create. They're not creative. Like, maybe if you're, like, a newbie author and you're just, like, just starting, maybe it can give you some writing prompts. Like, when you can buy books and stuff, like, when I was in college, we had, like, this thing called the Cliché Club that I was a member of, and we would come up with random prompts, like, pull 5 random words out of a bowl and then write a scene about it. I love doing that. I still do that once a week. It could be good for that. You can use it for random name generation. By the way, anytime you Google random name generator, random number generator, that's AI. Just so you know. I think that's fine. I think it will give you too many of the same names. Unless it is actually a random name generator where the entire purpose of that specific algorithm was created to generate names and it has a huge name database, you're gonna have very limited names, which is why one person that was talking who like their specialty for editing is knowing when something was done with AI, like they went in and played with it and learned how it worked. And there were like a list of names that they see all the time, which one of them was like Kale, Kael for fantasy and Serafina. Those ones stood out to me. Serafina stood out to me the most because I was like, I know that that's like an AI name, but it's so pretty. Like everyone would call her Sarah, but really she wants to be called Fee. I know it's a risk, but hear me out. It's a pretty name. It's a pretty name. Hear me out. It's an actual name. Like they got them from they didn't make up those names. They got them from somewhere. There are characters out there whose classic literatures whose name is Serafina that are in fantasy, and that's why that was selected because it can't come up with anything. It can only put together things it already knows. It can't be creative. And that's why I think that having it do everything for you is unethical because it can't be creative. So you're not the one creating it unless at least 75%. I really want to say like 90, like if you want it to just format for you because it's really good at that. Like everyone uses that for emails at work. You can just brain dump exactly what you want to write and then it'll format it for you like when you're taking notes in a meeting. I think that if a human isn't the one doing all of the creative aspects, if it's not just, oh, I need help figuring out one little thing here or there, or I need a reformat, or I need a second pair of eyes, or help me with ideation, or tell me what the analytics on this specific thing are so I can then look at those analytics and know, is this a viable option? If you're making it do all the work, it's not really yours. Legally speaking, too, like as a legal editor, it's also legally not yours. It depends on the case because they're all based on precedents because there's no like 100% definitive laws. But when it comes to copyright, in general, the copyright holder, unless there is another agreement, is whoever has done at least 75% of the work. So you can't have an agreement with a robot. So if you didn't do 75% of the total product, it's not legally yours. I don't make the laws. I just follow them. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. I shouldn't say I'm sorry when I'm not sorry. It's that cult mentality sliding in. I can be a wild child, bisexual, hippie, I want to save the world, small business loving, absolute freak of nature, crazy liberal, bisexual girl. But sometimes I'll still say sorry because I grew up in a religious cult and I get all awkward. Ugh, it's like sometimes, when I was working at Starbucks, there would be times when, like, people would come in and they'd be like, "Do you have something that isn't coffee?" And I would be like, "Because you don't want caffeine or because you cannot have hot drinks?" I can't help like, sometimes a girl just wants to feel nostalgic and have a dirty soda. Okay. Wasn't my cult, by the way. That just grew up in a town where those were the only 2 religions. My religion and their religion were the only 2 religions in the whole town. I digress. So I feel like to an extent I like lost myself. Not when it came to writing, as my husband so poignantly pointed out. In the last year and a half, I have published 7 books, 2 of which are short, super shorts. They're like 90-minute reads, 2 of which are just little novellas, like hour to 2-hour read. And the other 3 are the Gemstone Soul series, and not a single one of those books is under 120,000 words. They're on Kindle, so it might be hard to tell, but they are the length of the first Lord of the Rings book. I think Dr. Google needs to come in. I will be right back. I have come back from Dr. Google. The first Lord of the Rings book, The Fellowship of the Ring, is 177 words approximately. There's like some extras on the end of that. Is almost the length of The Fellowship of the Ring. The second one is the length of The Fellowship of the Ring, and the third one is a little bit more than the length of the progressively getting longer as we go. And I do want to do an entire video in this hair and makeup talking about those books because I want to focus on things I care about this year. I spent so much of last year caring about what analytics say and what YouTube tells me to do and what other people say is going to work, and getting hung up on the fact that some videos only get like 400 views and others get like 100,000 views. And it's like playing an MLM style lottery where you have to put in massive amounts of time and energy and it doesn't pan out. And I can only put in so much. And towards the end of last year, I was working overtime, like I technically am right now. I worked 10 hours today. It's not uncommon in law to work overtime during Q2, Q3, and Q4 because we're trying to rush to the end of the year. But on top of that, like 50 hours a week that I was working at my day job, which is a very mentally taxing and demanding job. I love it. I love it, but it requires a lot of my thought, like, I'm being an editor. It requires a lot of my mental energy. I would then get off of work, and then from about 7:30 until 1 or 2 in the morning, sometimes 3 if I was really pushing it, I would be working on a video or on a book or on a bunch of shorts that I had to do, and I never had time for me. I would work every waking hour of my day unless it was like a date day when my husband would drag me out of the house and make me go be a functional human being and buy me whatever I want and try to give me serotonin. And I made at most $220 a month on YouTube. Yeah, worked at least full time, if not more hours on YouTube after my full-time job and overtime, and most months I didn't hit the $100 to cash out that month and had to wait for the next month. So, I burned out. I wasn't making what I wanted to make, I wasn't talking about what I wanted to talk about, and I was working too much, and I was caring about all of the analytics. And the craziest part of all of this is that, this wasn't my dream. I wanted to talk about things I wanna talk about and just have another platform that I write on that I wanted to just write. I wanted to write about Astarion because I loved him. And then I wanted to write about other things. And when I would, they wouldn't do well. And then that made me question myself, which is in insane to think about because I wouldn't do that with a book. Like one of my books recently got like a 2 or 3 star review. No explanation, just stars. And my gut reaction wasn't, "Oh, that sucks." My gut reaction was, "So this book is doing well enough that someone who isn't in my warm market found it." Okay, editing kit side tangent. So, reviews and ratings, so rating you get whether you have a review or not, make a big difference on books, not just in the algorithms, so they're important on Amazon. Uh But also, they let us as an author know what you do and don't like. Like, if something always has bad ratings and the reviews are like, "Oh, I didn't like this genre or this trope," then authors can be like, "Oh, that doesn't work." But if someone is, "Oh, I absolutely love this specific genre, this trope, this character, this thing you did," authors can be like, "Oh, well, let's make that a series. Let's give you more of what you want. Let's do the things you're asking for." So they're also just helpful to us in general, which is why we always talk about them. It's not just about money. I just thought you should all get some insight on that because we don't ever talk about that in our community. We just assume everybody knows everything. But as a reader, how would you know if I don't tell you? Because, and I hate to quote Tyra Banks given some of the bullshit that she has done, but Tyra Banks, America's Next Top Model, All Star Cycle, first episode to Alexandria. Look, when I'm a fangirl, I'm a fangirl. She said, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And that was why Alexandria didn't get cut because there were people who hated her, whereas Brittany, no one really cheered. And I have worked in publishing since I was 18. And I don't want to like age drop myself, but more than 10 years. And in that, and I started writing at 14. I wrote my first book at 14 and I published it when I turned 18 under my real name. And it's no longer available. So even if you go looking for it, you're not going to find it. You're just going to find places where it says sold out. I am going to rewrite it.
Psst, psst. Little secret. I already have rewritten almost all of the first one. So it really is just a matter of how I want to release it, not when I'm going to rewrite it. But don't tell anybody. That's a secret between us.
And republish it. I just haven't decided how I want to do that. If I want to do it as a book or if I want to do it for free for everyone on Patreon. And when I say for everyone on Patreon, I mean literally for free. You can post things on Patreon that people can see without paying for it. And that's a space where I can talk, I can do things that are 18 plus. Good gosh. I also got published for the first time. Like traditionally, it was in poetry contests. I won the Editor's Choice Award for the International Library of Poetry when I was 12. And because I was a minor, that money had to go into a scholarship fund. Same with when I won it again when I was 14 in 2005. Oh, I just name dropped. I just aged myself. There you go. Like it's 2026. In August, I will be 35. I look 35. I don't think I need to hide that. I look 35. Ever since I saw 13 going on 30 as a kid, I always wanted to be 30. That was my golden age. And like 30 is going to be the best year of my life. It was and wasn't. I lost my mom the year I turned 30, but I also got married to the love of my life when I turned 30. So, yes, I had a loss, but I also had a really big win. I wouldn't be me without him or without my best friend. And no, I won't ever go into detail about her. And if I ever say anything that is related to her, I won't even address her name or her gender or anything that is remotely related to her because she has a private life and I respect that. But my husband, he used to be an actor, then he was a content creator. And yes, I don't talk about it very often, but I was on YouTube and worked in media and showed my face and existed under my real name before I was Kiro, right? So yeah, this isn't my first channel or my first rodeo. Now he owns a business where he's just starting and has very public facing. So I will whore him out to the internet all I fucking want because his face is already on it. I will voluntold him, as you've seen, because he has done male voices in some of my video openings. If you hear a guy's voice in any of my videos that is not the actual like actor of a video game character, I voluntold that man come out of acting retirement. Don't kill the part of you that's cringe. Kill the part of you that says cringe because nothing is more cringe than saying cringe. I'm a millennial. We invented that shit. And I squirrel brained myself into not remembering where I was. Right. So being an author is my primary identity. That is who I am. I'm an author. Hi, I am an author. I write dark, spicy romances, primarily paranormal, sci-fi, and fantasy, always with sub-dom dynamics. Hey, Katira, why'd your set change? My phone's at 4% battery, so now there's a fucking cord in between me and my tripod because I don't have a normal camera anymore because I'm not borrowing it anymore. Live where there's content creators. It's helpful. will share things online. I won't share what groups because there's some people in those groups that lie to their followers, and if I talk about how the influencers, specifically on TikTok, who are selling Amazon products, lie to you to get you to buy shit, I probably get kicked out of the group. That won't stop me though. I just can't do it right now because I've already gone off topic on AI. Only one rant per video. Like I said, my primary identity is as an author. And when I'm writing a video essay, I think of that as being an author. But the thing with being an author is that I have control. If I publish a book and it doesn't pop off right away, it doesn't mean anything because your backlist is gold. Unless you're traditionally publishing, where that does mean something, your backlist is your meal ticket. That's how you make your money, is people buying books that you've already published a while ago because they read one thing and it made them want to read all of them. I other than at the end of my videos, I haven't marketed my books really. Maybe like one or two shorts here or there. This coming year, I want to actually run ads and do books like an actual business because that's I'm an author and I owe that to myself. I've worked in publishing. I know how to do those things, so I should do them instead of being afraid of succeeding slash failing at the same like I'm afraid of both in tandem. It's like having imposter syndrome, but then I remind myself of the saying that I always tell my husband. I said to him, imposters do not get imposter syndrome because they know that they are an imposter because fooling you was the goal. So if you feel like you're an imposter, then you're not one because you weren't trying to fool anyone. Eldest daughter and the freaky neurodivergent girl who didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until after she was out of high school. So everyone thought that she was just some weird chick who was like in the anime club and drama club and would randomly speak in Japanese and always sat in the library writing stories that were inappropriate and dressed like this. And except for that brief period of time where I had blonde hair and I only dressed like this in private, and in public I wore like all pink and was bubbly and did like photos, and that's how I made money. My phone might die while I'm recording. It's at 2% now. My battery is holding on for dear life because my ADHD squirrel brain cannot shut the fuck up and stay on target topic. It can't say words either. It's a good thing that I'm only an author. I don't need to know words. I feel like from a creative perspective, when it came to YouTube, I kind of lost myself because it became a job. I was saying to one of my mutuals, and in, if you're not on TikTok, then that won't sound normal to you, but a mutual is anyone that you follow who follows you back. And in a content creator space, that's another content creator that you follow that follows you back. And I said to her that we were talking about people using AI, and I went off on the same passionate rant that I went off on you guys earlier. And basically, it ended with I wouldn't want, like, the suggestion was that a lot of people use it to just do all of their scripts. And I was like, no, I don't want AI to replace me at my job and do my job for me. Just like I wouldn't want AI to write my books because I don't want it to replace me and do my art for me. And I realized in that moment that I called YouTube a job and my books my art. And I'm an artist. I'm an author. I am a writer. I am an artist. And to realize that this has become a job and not art and expression really explains my burnout. And it's not an easy journey. You're gonna go on this journey with me, right? You're gonna buckle up. We're gonna go on this journey together. I need to go on a journey to make it art again, to do the things I want to do, to say the things I want to say, to appear the way that I want to appear. Thus, drawing little stars on my face to look like my bee and not showing my boobs because I want to show off Astarian's boobs instead. uh, because I don't want to exist in the male gaze all the time. Like it's a security blanket. I grew up in a super conservative town surrounded by a bunch of conservative people, and being appealing to men equaled safety. And that's just not who I am anymore. I'm not trapped. I'm an adult and I'm not in a cult. And I've come out of the closet and I've become the person that I want to be and have the job I want to have and got myself through college and out of poverty on my own. And I'm in a place where I can be myself and not, other than like the political scariness of the US, I can be myself and not be afraid. And I don't need to have the security blanket of dressing and acting a certain way because men might like it. Because let's face it, there's one man in this entire world that I like who isn't fictional, and I married him. No offense to my exes, but you guys were jerks. Like, I want to pretend like you weren't because, like, I want to be nice. But y'all, all of you were jerks. The two girls that I didn't officially date, but like hooked up with. One of them was kind of a jerk in the end because she didn't wanna come out, but the other one wasn't. But I like getting compliments from women. When you get compliments from a woman, it's like they tell you they like things about your personality or your outfit or things that aren't objectifying you. But then when guys give you compliments, it's like I got this comment on one video, and I'm not sure what to do with it, where, like, he basically said that he was having, like, an inappropriate fantasy about the things he would do to me, and that my husband was a lucky man, and then was, like, joked about, like, my boobies jiggling and super creepy. Yeah, it feels like getting hit with, like, a dick cannon, like, violating like, I didn't consent to being a part of your sexual fantasy. Like, if it's in your own head, that's fine, because that is a fictional version of me that does not exist. But why are you telling me I didn't consent to joining it? Like, the fuck? And I think of my shorts as being completely different from my long form videos because they have very different algorithms and how they find people. The shorts algorithm works similar to TikTok's. When it comes to long form videos, 77% of you are girls.
Correction, since I stopped catering to the male gaze, 94.3% of you are now girls.
Why would a man be there? Why would a man be there? No, it's actually pissing me off. Oh my god, it pisses me off. Why do you want to be there? Like, you're literally in my fucking space.
I can't express the level of joy I feel right now.
And 10% of you are undetermined. The other percent has to be men. I'm just going to probably correctfully assume that you're not straight. Maybe you're AMAB, but that isn't what you identify as. Maybe you're queer, bi, pan, demi. I'm here for the girls, gays, and theys.
Because let's be honest, straight men only like me until I open my mouth. I prefer it that way.
And it's not that way with my shorts, but you can't really see my face. It's just gameplay footage, so it makes sense that my shorts are mostly men, especially since statistically speaking, like their actual like reports, more men watched YouTube shorts, more women watch TikTok. But I'm in TikTok prison because I talked about Project 2025 and how they had a section in it where they wanted to make any kind of adult material, including spicy romance books, into categorized as committing CP crime, because what if a child went to a site that they have to be an adult to go to and buy it? And then they decided to add an addendum that anything that was LGBTQ fell into adult. Basically, they wanted to make it illegal to write any kind of queer anything and then arrest you. And I talked about that and went into TikTok jail. And every single video that I post now is flagged for nudity, violence, or drug use, and I have to appeal it. And 99.9% of the time, the appeal is accepted. Occasionally, when it's a starry and shirtless, it keeps the violence one because there's blood all over him. And every fucking shot of him that I get, there's blood. I don't know why this man is always bloody. It's kind of hot when he's always bloody. I have a vampire kink. I won't hide that. I am that crazy vampire girl, but it's demoralizing. I got a strike for nudity when I posted a picture of my dog. And so I just kind of gave up on TikTok. Occasionally, every once in a while, I will like post a video there and just to see if it will do it again. And it does. And yeah, so I just scroll TikTok now to find music that I want to listen to from new indie bands. And speaking of music I like to listen to from indie bands, if you like dark romance, if you like R&B, and if you like really, really inappropriate, sexy sub-dom kind of stuff, Dre Tamashi. Last year, he did this challenge where he put out one new song every single day. A lot of them are slowed versions of other ones or reverbed or sped up.
In a few days, I'm going to be the first person ever to have released a song every day for a year.
He had like guests, like Gone Dark was one of his guests. I love Gone Dark. Clearly, this year I want to talk about music and recommendations because I don't make music. I am not musically inclined. I like to think I sound like a dying cat when I sing. Long drive and in burning flames of paradise. But I love listening to music. You know what? Maybe I'm not an atheist. My religion is sleep. And I want to go back to Eden. But yeah, I want to focus on doing things that I enjoy and try not to focus on all of the analytics and feeling like I'm obligated or that there's this immense amount of pressure on me. I feel like I'm going to let everyone down every time I do something that isn't about Astarion. And that box that the studio and the algorithm has pushed me into and that feel like I'm stuck in has made me resent doing content about Astarion. And you can feel the last couple of videos, my heart just isn't in it. And like, second to my husband, this man is the love of my life. So I kind of want to still love him. I would very much so like you guys to accept the fact that I want to do other things. And I'm going to say you guys, I mean my YouTube overlords, because I know you listen to the words in our videos. I am emotionally raw and burnt out right now. I'm laughing to ease the pain. His dark humor to ease the pain. And I would very much so like to not resent him and have some space other than like shorts that I already made in advance in our I schedule those out. I think I have a whole year of at least one of them every day scheduled out already. So, but I need to chase my hyperfixations because I have ADHD and I need that. I need that. And I need to, as my husband says, learn to give myself permission to do things for me and because I want to and because I like them and care about them. And that's what I want to do this year. I want to focus on things that I love and that matter to me. I want to talk about dark romance from like the perspective of someone who not only writes it, but as someone who has 3 degrees, two of which are specifically in writing, and the third one is in cultural anthropology, which involved a bunch of literature and how literature impacts society. I want to talk about how fiction does that. I want to talk about other things that I like too, like TV shows that I watch. Most of them are old. I think Stranger Things and The Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives are the only 2 shows that are current that I watch. And Stranger Things just ended, and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I can relate to those girls on another fucking level. I want to talk about other franchises that I love. We just played Silent Hill F and we're only through the first part of it. You have to consecutively play it multiple times in a row to get the full story. And we're going to complete that. And I want to talk about that. Like I have some feelings about that. I also it's Fox Guy by the time I get to the end of them. I know that he's like not necessarily evil in the end of the first one because spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, she is hallucinating. But God, he's gonna be a villain, isn't he? Because he has white hair and he's gorgeous, and I would absolutely fuck him. So he has to be a bad guy. Like he has to be an evil alignment, right? Or at the very least a chaotic neutral. Like he's gonna be the bad guy. And like I'm pretty sure Gerald is the only like not canonically evil white haired. No, 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 and Hoffershant. And Hoffershant. And also, everyone who plays Final Fantasy 14, please stop telling me that I'm going to fall in love with Estinian just because he has white hair. and is a jerk and was a bad guy because they didn't like him in Heaven's Ward. And I am really offended that I think you're right. So please stop offending me with your correctness and your extensive knowledge of me beyond me knowing myself. Thank you. You know, I said one of my goals was that I wanted to be on camera more in 2026. I didn't think that I would create like an hour-long yap session video to kick off the new year with you. Like, it's kind of like when we do our live streams and we just like hang out as friends and we just talk. But yeah, I also want to talk about my third book because I was really afraid to put that book out because I made a really bold trigger warning related choice. And I talked about the effects of when someone is battling addiction and it makes them someone they're not without saying the words addiction. Talk about what it was like to grow up with someone overcoming that and how they can be wrong and right at the same time because two things can be true at once. Nuance. The word for 2026 I would like all of you to learn, specifically the people who are the bean soup theory people, is nuance. Almost word of the day. Nuance and media literacy. I would like to talk about media literacy because I feel like we don't have that anymore. And it pisses me off that we don't have that anymore. So I might go on some angry Katira rants this year. I might not always be happy-go-lucky, pretty, commercial, family-friendly Professor Katira. Because I'm sorry, dear, dear, dear YouTube overlords. I am so sorry that you missed the memo when I constantly curse, or when you heard that I am a dark romance book talk girly, or that when you found out Ascended Astarion is my favorite version of him, or when you found out that I write incredibly spicy romance books, often poly, always sub-dom. I don't know when you missed that I said that I am a feral bisexual who lives off of scrolling thirst traps on TikTok for men and women. But somewhere along these very confusing, complex descriptions of myself that I have given you, you thought I should be family friendly and for everyone. And it occurred to me, why? Why am I sanitizing myself? Why? No child should be watching someone who writes my books. So why do I need to do that for ads? They're not gonna be, they're not in the audience. So, no more sanitization. If I get age restricted, I get age restricted. Who the fuck cares? Everybody who's here is 18 anyway. Like, my Patreon is 18 plus because I want to share shit from my books and potentially do like an ongoing series there that everyone can go and read for free as long as they're 18 and they have an account without paying, because you don't have to pay on Patreon if you mark things as free for everyone. I can't share that on YouTube. And it's hard to share it on Discord because I have to like create an entire document for it, and it's a big long process. And y'all didn't know, like a majority of you didn't know what Wattpad was. So not my target market. And why would I put it on AO3? Like, unless it's fan fiction, why would I put it on AO3? It's mine. It came out of my brain. It's my brainchild. Let me have my brainchild. Let me own my things. But yeah, there are things I want to talk about that have to do with Astarion. I want to say fuck you to the YouTube algorithm and make my video on how I think Cazador is a PDF file. There are some words that I do still have to censor because of what they are, that will like completely remove the video. But yeah, I want to do a video on that. I want to talk about that because all the evidence is there and it bothers me. As a CSA survivor, it bothers me. And I want to do other runs or talk about other things. I want to play other games. I'm really into Stardew Valley right now. I am working on my own mod series for Stardew Valley. It'll probably take a while. It might not ever come out, but I'm doing it and I'm learning how to mod and I love it. And I want to share that. I want to share that. I want to share Stardew Valley. I have been playing Stardew Valley since 2019. And the only thing in the game that I have not done that stands between me and perfection is get married. And so I started a new farm once again because I'm always starting a new farm. And I have a mod installed called Reverse Proposal where they will propose to you. And I can see in my API what day it's going to happen. And I am 6 in-game days away from Sam proposing to me. And I will have, when that happens, and we 6 days, we propose, I say yes, 3 days from them, we get married, and I will have done everything there is to do in Stardew Valley to reach perfection. After, like so many years. It's been 7 years of playing this game. And I have not married my boyfriend yet. And I'm about to, and I'm really excited. So it makes me want to do some of those. There's a mod that I'm playing that's called Sunberry. And there's a character that is one of the options in it from another mod called It's Always Raining in the Valley named Sterling, who doesn't just look like my husband, he acts like my husband. Except for that I think he might have an addiction and my husband doesn't have that. But he could also maybe just have ADHD, and that's why he's always shaking. But I'm so in love with him, and I love it. And I want to show that. I'm also really loving the After Dark series, which is a series that turns I can't tell you which character because I am going to record it. Turns one of these 3 characters into a stalker. But Sam, Sebastian, and Alex are all different tropes in dark romance who are obsessed with you. 2 of them are very yandere, and Alex is very tsundere, which if you don't know what those mean, yandere is like a Japanese specific genre that's really common in manga where the character becomes super obsessed with you and it causes them to become incredibly possessive and violent, either towards other people or you, but primarily towards other people. And they'll be like, if you ever talk to another man, I'll kill him. And then tsundere, same vein, Japanese trope, is bully romance. It's where they're a bully to you and they make fun of you all the time. If you love playing Love in Deep Space, even I know that is a Chinese game, but if you love playing Love in Deep Space, Caleb, when he's in his kernel form, falls into yandere. I did say something alarming to my husband as a dark romance girly. I went, isn't it weird how yandere romance is only scary if you're not attracted to the dude? And he went, no, it's always scary. So therapy is on my list of things that I need this year. No, I don't want the shit that happens in dark romance to happen to me in real life. It's a safe place where, as a writer and a reader, I can put myself into situations I have actually been in before and get a different ending and have a different feeling, like have them be yearning instead of actually hurt you. And it's cathartic to reclaim your power in that position. It's the same reason why I'm a sub, because the sub, no one technically has all the power, but the sub has all the power and what is done to them. So that's why I love dark romance. I feel like at some point y'all are going to get tired of me. More realistically, editing Katira is going to get tired of me. I love you. Please don't hate me editing Katira. I cannot help. I cannot help. I have bad ADHD day. I need to be an artist again. I'm not a corporate girly when it comes to YouTube. I'm a corporate girly when it comes to my corporate job. I am the best corporate girly. I love my job and I love the company I work for. That's why I don't typically share things about it, because when you talk too much about your job, then your job gets angry. So the only things I share are things that my job is proudly sharing. It's been long enough. I don't remember what I was saying. And I'm out of breath. I'm out of shape. It's crazy that I am out of shape. Given that in the last year and a half, I have lost.
Yeah, so this dumb bitch let herself get squirrel brained right here and didn't say the impressive part. I lost 75 pounds. That's the impressive part.
I was like 240 pounds from medical issues. And I had to get out a selfie stick just for reference because, like, a girly pop deserves to be proud of all the effort that she has done. I do, like, wish that my arms were smaller, though. But we all look better from this angle. This is the best angle. Okay, and selfie stick away. But the reason why this is important to me is because before I went on side medication, I was suffering from Anna and maybe at most weighed like 120 pounds soaking wet with rocks in my pockets. I will flash a picture of that for context. And losing my mom and then gaining that much weight that fast and then feeling literally sick because the medication was fucking up my system and my hormones and my immune system. I felt very much like self-harming. So to come off of that depression medication that made me more depressed and be myself again and get back to a size where I wear a size small medium and am healthy and eat the right foods and do the right things and the right activity. And I reached a point this year where I stopped losing weight and I'm not going to restrict my eating or try to lose more. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I deserve to be proud of that progress, no matter what anyone else thinks. And although I was hoping no one would ever see that before picture, I have a right to share it and be proud of myself. And that's what our goal this year is, right? Self-love. And permission to be proud of yourself, even if other people don't like what you're proud of. Medication I was taking didn't change how I ate, didn't change how active I was. Gained over 100 pounds in under a year. And fucked up my hormones and my thyroid. It's why I'm afraid to go on antidepressants again, even though I actually need them to function.
I think there will come a point in time when I do think that there will be a point in time when I can say this or share this or feel okay. And if not, then, you'll never know because you won't be seeing this. But I'm not okay. I am burned out and depressed and trapped in a system that punishes you for talking about those things. Like, people talk about how there's a difference between influencers and content creators. And there is. There really is, because content creators, while some of them see it as their job or their career and they're okay with that, some of them, like me, started because we are artists. Could be music, could be drawing, painting. Mine is books and writing, which is why I write essays and talk about narrative design and lore. But the way that content creation works expects you to reproduce the same thing that worked once over and over and over again and stay in a tiny little box or a little niche. And I can think of several moments where I have talked about this in passing and brushed it off because it wouldn't have performed well in the algorithm, but I have spent months and months now passively screaming for help and just putting my head down and trying to work through it, because I feel like my creativity and my identity are gone. Like, I feel like I can't exist in the world as myself without negative repercussions, and I'm only given benefits in what I do when I perform being the person that a corporation wishes or wants me to be, rather than the person that I am. And when I am the person that I am, there's always age restrictions or ad restrictions, or you can't be this, you can't talk about this, you can't share the parts of you that are so true to who you are, because they're not perfectly packageable, family friendly, conservative energy. I don't even look like me anymore. Like, the person that I see in the mirror isn't me. I don't even want to exist without editing or a filter on my face, because if I don't look and act a certain way, then I'm corrected for it. And when I talk about being corrected for it, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but we get told what's working and what doesn't work. Like, there are pop-ups and things that show up in our studio that we can't control. And they compare every video to everything. It's a constant grind. And if you don't consistently always give them more the next time, they actively give you less. And we're not supposed to say that. And we're supposed to pretend like it's a meritocracies. But just like how the actual world in America works, where not everyone can actually be anything, we're not a meritocracies. We're not. And when you're someone who isn't just creative and artistic, but you have ADHD, which I do, you jump from hyperfixation to hyperfixation. But every time I want to focus on the things I care about, I am punished and corrected. And I can't go into all of the details without violating my terms and services, but it's demoralizing. I remember when I did the Vampire Bride video, I was so excited that I stayed up literally all night on that Friday night, all the way through to Saturday, into the middle of the day, to finish editing that video, because it mattered to me and it was things I wanted to talk about at that time. And you can see me and feel me completely. And I've reached a point where there are some people who are like, did you hire a scriptwriter, or did you use AI, or did you just not want to talk about this? Because I don't even sound like me anymore, that I've had to change so much. And the more I do what I'm told, the less successful it is too. And I just have to stop and have time for me. And if you ever do see this, the big if, it will be when I've already finished that time. And I probably won't even look the same. or act the same, because I won't be my sanitized cookie cutter self. I am a dark romance book talk girly, ADHD squirrel brained, liberal, blue haired wild child. But would you know that looking at me right now? Everything about me has been sanitized. And I don't like myself anymore. And I don't feel safe being myself either. And this is what I'm spending my break at work doing when I'm working overtime. So when this 15 minutes is up, I gotta go back and be normal and do legal lawyery shit. You can't even see me crying through this filter. Because this is a filter. Because I don't feel okay being myself. Being a creator took that from me.
So this is editing to Tara. Watching that was hard. Sharing it is even harder, but we never talk about this shit. And if we never talk about it, then we'll never make a better system. I can laugh through it. Can laugh through it. Some days I'm okay. Most days, I'm just burned out. I'm just burned out. When I went on them, it was because I lost my mom that year, and I just couldn't. Lost my mom and like 15 other family members, all the way up to like their cousins, and my family is super close. They're fundy. They're super close. Uh, because of COVID, my mom because of complications. That couldn't be treated because of all the people who had COVID. Yeah, I wanna explore. I wanna do other things and do things that I enjoy. And when I'm sparked, when I'm like, "Oh, I have this inspiration, I'm gonna do this." Or if I'm like, "Oh, that's a really great idea," that I see like in the comments, and I'm like, "Oh, I do wanna do that. That's a great idea." Then I'll do it. But I'm not gonna focus on what the algorithm wants anymore. I was so burned out and just didn't want to touch anything or do anything but like doom scroll first, and then had shingles. I broke out in shingles, and when I was talking to my doctor, he's like, you had to have had it in your system because you had chickenpox, which is true. I did not get both chickenpox vaccinations because halfway through them I ended up with chickenpox and could not get the second one. I have immune system issues like my mom, so it is a 50-50 shot for me if the vaccine will work. It doesn't stop me from getting them, but it's a 50-50 shot if it'll work. So I had chickenpox. And then I got shingles, and he was like, "So for the age that you are, it is incredibly uncommon to get them unless they are induced from extreme amounts of stress." I was so stressed and burned out trying to push myself through OT and a book. And OT makes it sound like I'm doing Scientology training. I mean overtime. OT and through writing on my book and finishing it by the deadline and trying to adhere at least to some extent to the algorithm, making things that I was just not in the mood to really make. That I lost my creativity, I lost my sense of self, and just started like writing like I would if I were working as a ghostwriter, which sounds good. Like the Cazador 2.0 video and the was a Starian a corrupt magistrate. There was a lot of me just going through the motions. And I feel like you can feel that. And you can feel that I was completing boxes on a checklist to get it out. And that is demoralizing for an artist. That's why I stopped working as a ghostwriter. Like, I never went, oh, being a ghostwriter is my job because writing is my art. But I stopped doing it, even though it paid really, really fucking well, especially when you're a ghostwriter that writes erotica. Paid really fucking well, but you get really weird requests. And like, I was fine with other, like, being a ghostwriter and people paid me to write it and then they take credit for it. Like, I don't care. I got paid. But I reached a point where I just wanted to do my own thing. And I was like, I'm good at this. So I'm going to stop being a ghostwriter and I'm going to write my own erotic books. And they're going to be full books, like normal spicy books. And that's how Katira was born. 2026. Katira going to be herself, her weird manic pixie dream girl self. Also, like, thank God I am bisexual because women aren't attracted to manic pixie dream girl. So at least half of the people I am, well, not quite half, because I'm also attracted to people who are non-binary and gender fluid. At least a huge portion of the people I am attracted to, like that I am a weird fucking freak in nature. I'm on camera with like stupid ass stars drawn on my face that don't. Do they look like stars? Stars and fake freckles. I would be attracted to me right now. I got that tomboy femme energy, but FEM, not FEMME, because I'm bi, not a lesbian. So I don't get to claim that spelling. That was a lot off my chest. This was a nice yap session. I don't know how to end this. Do I end it by being like, I'm an author, so you should read my books? Oh, so I wrote this book. It's 76 pages, so it's not very long, and it's almost like at least like 80% spicy scenes, with run and if I catch you, I fuck you, but consensual, like they plan it. And it is a werewolf mafia romance because I just wanted to play with it. I wanted to try it on. It's my best-selling book, and I really love mafia romance. That's like my thing right now is reading mafia romance. Like, very into Emily Rose and Sadie Kincaid. So yeah, I like doing it in a paranormal way, and that inspired me. And I was like, what if I did more like vampires, a whole werewolf syndicate, being sold to pay off the debt of your gambling father or brother, and then obviously I always do like fated mate stuff because I like stories where you are fighting against fate to find what you actually want, because it gives you the space to explore without having to worry about if there will be a happily ever after or not. There was not a happily ever after moment at the end of my third book because it's like the Empire Strikes Back of the series. It did not, it ended on a very hard note. And it was a very difficult book to write because it had a lot of elements that related to dealing with addiction and how someone, when they're possessed by their addiction, is not themselves. But I wrote that from the perspective of like actual possession. And it dealt with a lot of like, as someone who came out of a toxic and abusive relationship, that what it feels like to love the person who abused you and it feel like it's out of your control, in this case because fated mates, to realize that you want them to change and you want it to be better and they want to change and seek forgiveness, but that love isn't always enough. And they're still in the middle of their arc, so it might be, it might not be. Like, I have two different outlines for how the last two books will go based on my final choice, and I don't know if he will redeem himself or not. I haven't decided yet. So we'll figure that out together. But I want to write some more werewolf mafia stuff. I want to write more werewolves in general. I really like werewolves, and vampires those are my two favorites. I like werewolves because it's a lot of writing, but I want to write more. I'm a really fast writer, again, because I was a ghostwriter, so I would have to pound out like 10,000 words a day. I am a fast writer. So if I wrote more, I would put out more. And I want to do that this next year. But if you like mafia stuff and werewolves and you want to just spend an hour reading nothing but smut, Claimed by the Sicilian Wolf is my bestseller in that. And with that, thank you for being here, because I didn't really talk about gaming that much, but writing and gaming are my passions. And with subscribers like you, I get to share those passions. And I hope that I will see you in the next one. And good night, darling.
And now you're all mine. And I'm all yours. Until morning, at least.